So the Buffalo Bills defensive tackle Dion Dawkins talked about the division round playoff game versus the Cincinnati Bengals and how he felt in that game. Now, of course, we learned recently that that game is the game that tore apart Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and really was the breaking point in their relationship. It seems like recently the relationship has gone better and gotten back together, so that's good. But with that being said, Dion Dawkins recently was on Colin Cowherd's The Herd, and this is what he had to say. He called the game between the Bengals and the Bills in the playoffs. He said it felt weird. He continued to say this. That Cincinnati Bengals game was definitely weird. Dawkins said, you go through your ups and downs. It's sad that we go through a down at a time like that. But we just hit the down at the wrong time. And I think with the journey we've been on, we've been through every phase of football that can happen, which would be a recipe for the creation of this season. And in all honesty, he's not wrong. You know, they lost a player who literally almost died on the field, came back to life, was rescued, and usually in the past, especially with you look at some of these crazy seasons where a team goes wins the Super Bowl, that usually becomes the recipe of, you know, they did all that, they had all that happen, and yet they still went against adversity and won the Super Bowl. But the Bills didn't do it. And to get smacked down like they did, 27-10, by the Bengals here, where a lot of people, I mean, you have Eric Weddle who came out and said the Bengals had 0% chance. Everyone expected the opposite thing to happen. Everyone expected the Bills to dominate. And then they were going to go play the Chiefs in the championship, win that game, and then go win the Super Bowl. But it didn't happen. He continues to say this. But Cincinnati, it was a whole different feel. Everything just felt weird. I don't want to blame it on anything. But for the first time we met them, we had a tragedy happen. And the second time that we played them, it was just like that energy. It was a very, very weird. I don't even know how to explain it. It was just a very, very real, rare feeling. And I think it was felt through the entire locker room, through the coaching staff, through everything. It was a very unique situation. He then continues to talk about how he felt like there was no charge electricity on the team. Dawkins said, there was something, but it wasn't the Bills. Whatever football gods jumped on our back, they jumped on us. So I want to cut in here real fast just to kind of give context. So I think I know what he's trying to say here. He's pretty much just saying that none of the Bills players could actually even think about the playoff game versus the Bengals because in their heads, all they could remember was the Damar Hamlin situation. So when they're on the field, all they're thinking about is what happened last time they played the Bengals. So they're not even focused on the playoffs, so they're not focused on how this game is going, you know, your coverages, because the whole entire team's just like, wow, last time we were here, Damar Hamlin almost lost his life. It's a weird scenario because I understand that perspective, right? Yeah, obviously, you know, what happened was truly awful. Thankfully, he's okay. But to say, like, well, that's why, you know, we lost the game because we just was too upset or too, you know, kind of just, I'm going to say, we were just too taken back from the moment. I don't know. That's definitely something else. I don't know how I feel about that, but I just want to cut in here real fast so I can, you know, kind of give context there, because I think that's what he meant by this, and it's definitely interesting, but let's play the rest of this. So now he's blaming the loss on saying that for some reason they just could not be themselves. They just fell apart. And again, like I said, listen, at the end of the day, a playoff game of that magnitude, it is like certain players are going to be successful and be able to go out there and, perform at the top level, and some players are not. And you go back to that game. Yes, while the Bengals got 414 yards, they were 6 for 10 on third downs. It really came down to the Bengals just were ready. They had that underdog mentality. They had that, gritty, you got to play us mentality. And going into this game, the Bengals weren't trash talking. I mean, I'll say it like this. If the Bengals went into this game trash talking like they did with the Chiefs game, this game might have went differently. But we went to their house in snow, which is something that Buffalo was supposed to be like their home field advantage, was that they played in snow. Even T. Higgins in that game even admitted that he was like, I haven't really played in snow that much. And now he's playing in snow for one of the first times. So it's like, it was so much, the recipe in that game was, the Bills didn't know what they were doing. And it's clear, we had a former receiver, Isaiah McKenzie, come out and say that, the Bengals didn't do anything special. They weren't crazy in that game. They didn't outplay us. They didn't do anything too insane. Well, clearly, according to Dion Dawkins, the Bills were in a phase. They were in their own heads. They were just lost. And that's a weird way to say that. I'll definitely be honest with you. I was not expecting, the Bills' next excuse, I would say, to be that they felt like they want themselves. And, listen, we got to play them this year, okay? We're going to play them, what is it, week 9 or 10 this year? So we're going to see how it goes this year, and if we blow you guys out again, then maybe that was just the fact that we're better than you guys. I think going into that game, especially with everything that happened, like you look at the fact, again, DeMar Hamlin, then week 18 versus the Jets, the Patriots, when the Bills had 3 kickoff returns, it was in your head, you think it's going to be a magical season, and it's going to end in a magical way, and it doesn't always end in a magical way. It's not a Disney, movie here, guys. This ends with the better team gets the W. And that's just how it ended up going. Even with the Bengals, I mean, you got to think, like, Buffalo, you guys weren't yourselves. We had no offensive line. We went into that game without a right tackle, right guard, and left tackle. Like, we didn't have a line going into that game. So, to say that you guys didn't have players, I mean, you guys had a whole entire team, you guys was in your heads, we didn't have players to protect our quarterback. So, it's, I don't know, it's interesting. I never thought I'd talk about this game again, and now that it's more news talking about it, I just find it interesting. Definitely tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I've never heard a player say that they did not feel like themselves. Like, I get the first game, listen. At the end of the day, that first game, if they would have played it, thankfully they didn't, but if they would have played that first game with the DeMar Hamlin situation, if they would have continued that game, I understand all what he's saying right here for that first game. Because that first game, no, I 100% understand. Like, you would have just felt like, this is just not right to play. We don't feel like ourselves. We don't feel like there's any energy. Because you don't. You're caring so much about your, teammate and making sure he's okay and he's getting better and stuff like that. But the playoff game, I'm not saying you don't care about it still, but he was in a lot better situation. He was in really, not great condition, but he was in good condition by that time. So, I don't know. It's a weird situation. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.